Welcome to Talkin Waukesha, the podcast where every conversation springs to life.
I'm Andrew Nofke.
And I'm Anthony Terrell.
And we're your hosts for today's journey into the heart of Waukesha.
Whether you're a local or just passing through, join us as we explore the stories, people, and hidden gems that make Waukesha truly special.
From community events to personal anecdotes, we're here to bring you the pulse of our vibrant town.
So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and let's dive into another episode of Talkin Waukesha,
where every conversation springs to life. All right, welcome back to another episode of Talkin Waukesha. We're here with Michelle Enderle and Brandon Ernst. They are student resource officers with the Waukesha Police Department. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got started in public safety?
So I came from a family of law enforcement. My dad was a police officer growing up. So at college time, kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Had different avenues, took some time off, joined the military. When I came back, I was closer to being law enforcement than nursing was my other option. Mm-hmm. So I chose law enforcement. Extremely happy that I chose that. I love what I do.
Yeah, so for me, had some family in law enforcement. I had a grandpa that was a police officer, had uncles and cousins that were firefighters. Mm-hmm. Kind of similar to Michelle, really wasn't sure, where I wanted to go. I grew up in Milwaukee, West Dallas area. Wasn't sure what path I wanted to take after high school. Knew I wanted to do something that involved working with people. Thought maybe physical therapy or sports medicine. Mm-hmm. Took a couple classes of that and or along that line in college, and then realized pretty quickly that wasn't going to be the path for me. And then what kind of set me down the path of law enforcement is took a class in criminal justice, and it was like the first class where I was like 100% like all in, like this is awesome. This is, definitely something that I want to do. And that was kind of the beginning to my path towards a career in law enforcement.
That kind of seems like the quintessential like way into law enforcement. Someone's like, yeah, I took a one criminal justice class and it's like, yep, 100%, let's go.
Yep.
So what is a student resource officer and what motivates you to become SRO?
So a school resource officer, right, is obviously first and foremost a law enforcement officer, sworn law enforcement, just like any other police officer that's in the city of Waukesha right now. But we're obviously specially selected. There's an interview process. They go through all of your background and your annual reviews. So you have to apply for it. So you're specifically selected based on your experience and your disposition. And if you think, if they think you'd be a good fit for that. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, then there's additional training that we have to go to in preparation to be, a well-rounded school resource officer. So we go through the National Association of School Resource Officer week-long training. Mm-hmm. So it's 40 hours and it's pretty all-encompassing in, school-based community policing. With an emphasis on like a wide variety, not just like school law, but assisting with educating, in the classroom, mental health, crisis intervention, suicide intervention, dealing with, more sensitive crimes that might be reported. So there's a wide variety of training that's encompassed within that like week-long training, in addition to, again, all the additional that we've had throughout our career that I'm a SRO, and then I certainly would agree with it as well, as they kind of describe it as a triad. So there's like kind of three primary roles that we usually take part of, I guess, in our position. So one is like an educator. So whether it's actually like formally participating in classroom education on a wide variety of topics, or if, students are coming into our offices and asking us questions, our staff are coming in, asking questions. So there's like that educator role. Mm-hmm. There's an informal counselor role. I can say that probably takes up the most time.
Probably.
For sure. Like you might be surprised, maybe not the number of students that are just constantly in our offices and just want like a trusted adult to talk to. And it might be about something very mundane and not very exciting, like just girl or boy drama or group drama or friend drama, or like just need somebody to vent to, up to once you build that rapport and you build that trust, then they have somebody to confide in if there is something going on with either them or a friend or a loved one or at home or something like that. So there's like that informer counselor role, and then obviously the law enforcement role, because our primary role in the schools is safety. So then that's kind of the way that it's described in the three different roles.
So we're like that first like liaison between like the police and like school administrators. So they bring it to us like, hey, we don't know if this needs to go further or if you can just handle it, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So, and then the reason I wanted to become a school resource officer, probably like the first time we had like a big call And like kids are like, I'm not talking to you, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like tough kids. They don't want to like give you any information what happened. And then one of our school resource officers went up there and they're high-fiving him. What's up? Chest bumps, that kind of stuff. Told him everything that he wanted to know. So I'm like, I want that relationship like with the community where they feel like they can come up and trust me and open up. Like there's someone they know. And like we both have that. Like kids run up to us, give us hugs, high fives. You just have like a deeper relationship with kids. It's just really nice and rewarding.
Yeah.
It's a great, it's a completely different aspect of policing where we work in a great community. We have a lot of support in Waukesha, but like still regardless, when you're responding to a call for service, there's many times where you don't get a lot of high fives and happy faces and smiles and, hey, how's it going? Like very, very happy. We go to school every day and it's like nothing but smiles and like people that are happy to see you. So it's a great spot to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in school, like I never associated a school resource officer with being part of the police. They were just kind of like a person, exactly like you said, like a trusted person you could go to if you had any concerns or issues. And I never thought like, oh no, they're police officers that are just in the school. Like they just had that presence that, made you feel secure and made you feel, safe.
Can you two maybe explain to how you got involved being SROs then?
For me, I've always wanted to be a school resource officer. You have to have minimum 2 years on before you can apply. So as soon as I had those 2 years on, I applied. So I had applied possibly three times before I finally got the cut to become a school resource officer. And that was the same time for both of us. We both came on at the same time as school resource officer. I knew I wanted to work with kids. And now that I've done this as school resource officer for 4 years, I understand how impactful we can be like on their lives. And it's probably the most rewarding job I've ever had at the police department.
Yeah, definitely agree with the rewarding side of it. For me, though, being like a young police officer coming in, so this is I'm entering my 14th year, have had an opportunity to do a lot of different positions, as has Michelle within the police department. We worked in the drug unit together. I'm on the SWAT team. We're both field training officers. So we've had a lot of really good experiences. And for us to like both, without a doubt, hands down agree, like school resource officer is definitely like the most rewarding. And we call it like the best kept secret in law enforcement for sure. But when I first came on, I had no interest of being a school resource officer. I wanted to have fun, wanted to get in the action, wanted to do all of the, quintessential things that a young person that getting into law enforcement wants to do. But after being exposed to some of these additional positions and talking to other officers, detectives, supervisors that have done the school resource officer spot, I mean, they just spoke so highly of it and had nothing but great things to say. And those are like well-respected people where I take their, opinion to heart. And as I furthered my way through my career, then I realized like, oh, this is definitely something I want to explore after kind of hearing some of their experiences and how highly they spoke of the position.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess I forgot to make a note of which schools are you student resource officers at, or which ones have you been at in the past, or have you always been at the same one?
So I work in the middle school. So I'm at Les Paul Middle School and STEM Saratoga Middle School. So I have two.
And I'm currently at Waukesha North. So the way that it works in Waukesha is with the Waukesha Police Department is once you're promoted to the position of a school resource officer, you get assigned there for 4 years.
Okay.
So you get assigned to whatever school that you're assigned to. We have officers in all 3 middle schools and then all 3 high schools. Whatever school you get assigned to, you're there for 4 years. So you get 4 years of living the dream, and then after that, it's back to reality.
It's just like you're back in high school again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously, we wish it was certainly a little bit longer, but we understand some of the reasonings behind it. They want other officers to be able to experience again the rewarding side of it and get those experiences that we were able to have in our 4 years.
Very nice.
And we are able to help out at like any school. So if like Brandon takes a day off, they need someone at North, I would go respond to North and assist.
Sure.
Yeah, and we're going to the elementary schools if there's something that they have a question or they need some sort of resource from a law enforcement perspective. It isn't like we're just handling our middle schools or high schools. We're helping out at all the other schools that might need some assistance or a resource or something like that as well.
Nice.
And then after the 4 years, are you, I don't know if allowed is the right word, but are you not allowed to then go back into another school? Or like, can it be like 10 years, you get a 10-year break and then can go back if you really wanted to? Or
so it's a highly coveted position. So we would love to stay,
So
obviously stay at our school, even go, I wouldn't mind going from middle school to high school with a lot of my students. You build like really close relationships with them. They come up and talk to you all the time. Hey, come to this high school. This is where I'm going. We love you. I'm sure Brandon gets the same thing. But we just can't. And there's so many people that want this position that they're always going to give it to someone like that's fresh and new and that like wants to try it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so technically you can reapply for the position having done the SRO spot before, but there's so many qualified officers that are always going to apply for it. They're going to afford them the opportunity instead of us getting greedy and continuing to, to get the same spot over and over again as much as we would like it.
Do you get to, like, if they have a vacation, it's like, hey, can I go there instead of, them, instead of swapping them out that way?
So technically, if someone was like gone or injured or something like that, they do look back on other SROs if they're in a position that they can backfill that position, because we understand how important it is to have a school resource officer in there as a safety priority for like students, staff, all that stuff. So they will ask us first probably before they would like backfill with someone that's never been a school resource officer.
That's good. Yeah. And at least it gives you the opportunity to kind of get back to the schools and get that, little dose of reward every now and then.
Yeah,
For sure.
And then, did you guys get to choose the school that you were at, or whether maybe if it was middle school or high school or anything like that, or do you just get assigned?
So kind of. I think for us, our position was a little unique where when we both came into the position at the same time, she preferred a middle school and I preferred a high school. So it just kind of worked out well from that because there happened to be an opening on each one. So.
So what role do SROs play in schools, and why do you think that presence matters? And then kind of piggybacking off that, I can re-ask this again later if need be, but can you share any examples of the impact that you've seen firsthand of SROs in schools?
I mean, our number one role is safety. Obviously, in the era that we live in, we all know school shootings happen. So our job is obviously to assess like the school itself, like make it a hard target. So like make sure doors are secure, make sure the landscaping is done in a way that prevents people from like concealing themselves, going around bopping into classrooms, knowing the layout of our schools in case there is some kind of emergency that we can respond quickly. We convey that. We also do trainings where we bring in like other police officers to our schools, walk them around so they get a general layout in case there is ever an emergency. And with that hand in hand, like we do Waukesha model as a standard response protocol model. So every school is on the same page for safety because that's our number one like concern why we're in schools is to keep everyone safe in case something happens. For that like firsthand impact, where kids feel safe enough to like come up to you and say like, I heard this was reported to me or someone said this to me. And then we're that first line of defense. Like if you say like someone said they were going to do this or that, they have an anonymous reporting, but it's nice when they don't anonymous report, they trust us enough to like physically come up to us and be like, hey, Officer Michelle, someone said this like last night, like I'm scared. And they like wait in the office until we get there to talk to us because they like know how important it is. And we go in the classrooms and tell the kids like this, our whole reason we're here is like your guys to keep you guys safe and like the staff safe. So like if something happens, you have to help us too. We don't know what's happening online or out in the community. If you tell us, we'll do our best to keep you safe. Like that's our job.
Yeah, I think the number of times where students are confiding concern, both like sometimes extreme, sometimes minor, it's all of the time that they're coming up to us. One that I can think of, which was certainly a more stressful one that we had at North, and it was in the news and stuff like that a couple of years ago, which I think goes to the importance of having officers inside the schools, is it was at the end of one of the lunch periods. So we have open campus at high school, so juniors and seniors are allowed to leave for lunch and then come back. So some of them are coming back and some of them were very frantic coming back in. And because I'm there, standing there out in the hallways or in the atrium as much as possible, they immediately flagged a staff member and then me down and said, hey, there's a guy or a kid like with a rifle that's really close to school, just in the residential area. So coordinated with the school administration, the staff at the school, immediately got on the police radio, started coordinating with the police response. And eventually it wasn't a threat to the school specifically. It was just somebody who was unfortunately literally like their yard abutted to the North High School property, and he had a rifle and was walking up and down the sidewalk and in his front lawn and in his backyard with a rifle. But I think that goes to the importance of having an officer at each school, because if I wasn't there, or if there wasn't an officer there, they would have had to go through the chain of 911, have all of these squads responding, had to get that initial information, had to then try to coordinate with school staff for the appropriate standard response protocol for that. So like to have an officer in that school and kind of be that liaison between, me advising, patrol officers what I have, and they're going to do awesome and do their thing. They locked all that down and ended up finding the guy. And then me kind of coordinating with the school administration and the school staff to make sure the school was secure and all the kids were safe, having that immediate response and somebody there to help kind of, get a situation that could have been really more chaotic under control and in a better fashion, I think was certainly a specific example that I can think of one of the times where having an officer inside the school was certainly beneficial.
Yeah, it's really nice that there's like a liaison between, like you said, both student and administration that, if something does happen, you get a report from a student, you're able to relay it up the chain of command really quick to the administration, and they can know what's going on. The administration can know what's going on from the police side and the response.
Yep.
Very
And it isn't
quickly
even
and
just
simple.
for the critical incidents. There's so many times where we're like that collaborative team between the school district and the police department or the Department of Health and Human Services through the county. We're constantly all communicating together for a wide variety of incidents that our kids might be going through either at school or at home or in the community. It's just having that connection between all of those to kind of help, overall encompass the community safety side of things and kind of be in there for the kids.
And you'd mentioned the Health and Human Services aside from the county. So I know that they've installed like the Narcan boxes and like things for students to help the issues going on at home. How did that kind of evolve, and how much training do you have to have for that issue, and how do you handle those kinds of issues?
So we're trained both at the police department for the deployment of Narcan and signs to look for an opioid overdose. And really a lot of it isn't so much the training as it is real world experience, like the number of opioid overdoses that we've been to I can't even count like the number of times that we've experienced that. But then the good part with that, again, that kind of collaboration side is the school district staff also, some of them also get that training in opioid overdose and how to, properly deploy Narcan and things like that. And unfortunately, thankfully, I've never had to use it in a school, but we have it in the schools just in case it's needed, because obviously it's still an issue in the overall community, but haven't seen that in the schools, thankfully.
Have either of you seen an instance where students are coming in saying, I've got a parent, family member, friend who's dealing with that kind of thing, and how can I make sure that they, stay alive and intervene?
Yeah, we have, unfortunately, a lot of kids like witness that at home, and they come to us for like, what do I do? That kind of stuff. And you give them resources and point them to the right direction. I mean, if it's a safety concern, then obviously we'd have to like take a report and we'd have to intervene. But if it's just like, I'm concerned, I'm scared, that kind of stuff, you give like good advice. And I've always found it's like, be honest with kids. A lot of these kids have hard lives. You can't sugarcoat it. They'll know if like what you're telling them is real or not. So I always tell people just like be very honest with kids. Like obviously age appropriate, but they have to be able to hear it and trust you that the information you're giving them is you're being honest with them. So then, right, they can break down the walls that they have built up and like be honest with you. And we have those relationships where kids sometimes are able, like they feel so comfortable they can come in and tell us things that are happening that should never happen to kids, and then we can get those reports and like investigations done and get them someplace safe.
Yeah.
Because it's like in the end they love their parents, right, and they don't want to report them.
Right.
But unfortunately we have to tell them like this isn't like normal behavior, and what you're experiencing isn't okay, and we have to do something about that.
So that's kind of like the counseling side of things that you're dealing with kind of in a day-to-day, or hopefully not every day, but
Yeah.
more often than people want.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not super frequent, but it certainly happens. Yeah.
So what does a typical day look like then? I guess if everything is peaches and cream, just normal, what do you do during the day?
Usually in the morning, like when we get there, we usually check in, probably same with Brandon, with me. You check in with your administrators. And if they have anything that happened like overnight, if it's immediate concern, they call us at our houses. We answer our phone. Obviously, we're always available to our administrators to make sure nothing's going on. And if something needs to happen, we would call our police department and have them go check on the student right away. Otherwise, they tell us like, hey, this is what we heard, or this is what's happening. Can you go speak to John or Jill or whatever student is? Or this is our concern, or this is kind of like what the day is looking forward, what we're going to do. They'll let us know if we're doing any like safety drills, if anything needs to be addressed with a student, like they were skipping class. Can you make sure this hour you make sure blah, blah, blah is not skipping in the class where they're supposed to be. So address like those initial concerns. Otherwise, our doors are always open. Kids can stop in if they have problems. But as you go on, you realize like sometimes kids are just want to talk to us and like either get candy or just talk to avoid a test or something. So you get pretty good at like, do you have a real problem? Otherwise, I'll come talk to you at lunch. This isn't like a big concern. Walk the halls, kind of pop into classrooms. I shoot baskets with a lot of my kids, like if they need a break. They're like just too amped up to like sit. I usually take them for like 10, 15 minutes, burn off some of that excess energy, reset them, take them back to class. It's my day normally for middle school. A little bit different probably for high school maybe.
No, it's pretty similar. You're there in the atrium, at the front doors when the kids are getting there, just to be visible, be a face. Same thing, have a touch point, either formal or informal meeting with the administrators or counselors, student services, if there's something going on that needs to be addressed that is still carrying over from the previous day or the previous week, like, hey, no, this is still popping up. Just, again, sometimes formal, sometimes very informal, be in the hall during the passing periods. If there happens to be, dysregulated students for whatever reason. We have both our police radios and also our school radios. So obviously the staff and admin can also call us on our actual office phones as well. So there's many, many students that they know that we have a great relationship with. And even though it's not a police issue at all, again, it kind of goes to that triad in those roles that we play. Yes, we're police officers, but the vast majority of times we're not really doing any law enforcement and law enforcement side of things, right? So there's plenty of students that if they're dysregulated, like, hey, John or whoever is in this room, he's, kind of acting up. The teacher wants him to leave. He doesn't want to leave. Can you go talk to him? And we'll literally just pop our head in, hey, buddy, you want to come talk? Yeah, sure. I'll talk to you, but doesn't want to talk to the teacher or whatever the situation might be. So it's kind of wearing those different hats when appropriate, many, many times. Yeah, we're wearing the counselor hat, but there's plenty of times where we're wearing kind of a pseudo administrative hat where all right, we'll come talk to the kid. And once we get them kind of de-escalated, then we can deal with the school consequence side. And that's where then we'll, an administrator will pop in or we'll chat with them and let the admin know hey, we handled it. He's good. They're calm now. They went back to class. It's all good. So, the number of times that happens, it's, almost daily as well with things like that.
So you say deregulated is just something's off, basically.
Yep.
They're a little anxious, angry, whatever it is. Something's caused them to be from the norm.
Exactly.
And most teachers and staff know right away. They work with these kids day in and day out. They know that they're something's going on. And if they notice it right away, or we notice it when they're coming in, like he said, we're in the lunchroom or atrium, greeting kids as they're coming in. You notice, if right, high five normally, and heads down, hoods up, not wanting to talk to anyone. There's something that went on. And usually if they come into our office, we can kind of talk it out. Or maybe they just need to be pulled out talk to a counselor for a while, right, to get reset, feel better. And a lot of kids, they just want to be heard. They want their side of the story to be heard, right or wrong, right? That's every single person in the world. I want you to hear my story before you have any input. And that's exactly what they want too. Kids want the same things. They want their feelings to be validated.
Yeah. And I think it's true too. People want to explain what's going on, but they don't want to either bury their friends with it or make their friends think something different. So having that extra, adult voice or just that ear is okay, here's what's going on. And it's okay, yeah, that either that stinks or we can do something about it. What do you want to happen from there? So how do you balance being an authority figure in a building with building positive relations with students? Obviously you've kind of elaborated on a little bit, but how do you find that happy balance of, hey, I'm being serious when you've kind of built a good rapport with these students?
I think most kids know, if you have kids, your kids know. I'm usually, me and Brendan probably both the same, happy, smiley, very go-lucky people. So our students know when we're upset and they know oh, she's got mom face on. That's what they say for me. I'm we're done. I've asked you this is what's happening now. We are going to the office. You just need to come. This doesn't have to be a big deal.
And I can actually see as you're saying this, you did kind of have a facial switch. I can tell you're serious, and I felt a little oh man, I'm
in trouble.
It's what did I do wrong?
Yeah, it's not. I think we have, again, like you said, very similar personalities where it's not very often that we have to get serious. So when we do, I think the kids kind of pick up on that pretty quickly because we do have almost always established some sort of relationship with whatever kid that it is that we're dealing with. So when we do have to kind of go that route, it certainly helps. And then with the authority figure side of things, she kind of touched on it earlier. The number of students that have said almost this exactly, and I'm sure she's heard it before, that are in our office once they actually get to know us and we're kind of in that rapport building phase, is oh man, I hate cops, but like you're definitely one of the cool ones. And I'm like so like it's kind of cool to hear that, but also like that we have to then expand on that. Like, okay, well, why do you think that? And help them realize like I'm actually just like every other officer that's at our department. It's just we actually had the opportunity to get to know each other and kind of chat a little bit and kind of break down the reasons why they might have a negative perception about an officer. Like, okay, so what happened in your life? What did you see? What did you experience? Let's walk through that and then use that as like a learning opportunity to explain like, okay, well, this is why the officers responded a certain way and why it happened that way. It's not that they were, trying to be mean or trying to be a jerk, but like, given what you described, this is how I would have done it as well. And they're like, oh, really? Oh, okay. So kind of that authority side, again, being in this position, that's one of the huge benefits is breaking through that barrier of, oh, you're one of the cool ones. It's like, no, it's actually whoever it is that's in this spot has heard that before. The officer before that has heard that, and the officer after that's is gonna hear that as well. So taking those situations where they maybe observed something or experienced something, and understandably so, right, that it's negative from their perception, but being able to kind of break that down and help explain the reasons why something happened a certain way is definitely beneficial from that side.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely like an ongoing problem that is happening in society. Is like, no, cops are always bad. And it's like, no, it's just they are responding to a tough situation in a tough time. It's like everyone's like, I don't think I've met an officer in Waukesha or any ever really that's like, no, they're legitimately a bad person. Like they shouldn't be in that situation. It's like, people that want to help people are intrinsically good 99% of the time, I think.
Yeah, it's good that you're able to shatter that glass for them too while they're young. So when they get older, they don't continue to have that mentality towards it too. Because at the end of the day, you guys are just humans. Like you're just doing your job too. And if you need to raise your voice, well, then you need to do it. But that's your role in those situations.
And hopefully peer to peer, then that also creates that bridge too of like, hey, I had this conversation and I never thought of it this way. And hopefully they can be sharing that message out with their friends and peers.
So in what ways do you collaborate with school staffs, counselors, and administrators?
We're constantly collaborating with them, working on probably we work with counselors and administrators probably the most. Obviously administrators trying to come up with solutions so kids don't have repeat issues, that kind of stuff. Like I've said, we help kids that are dysregulated, get them back. Counselors, a lot of investigations we have, they might make us aware of an investigation that needs to happen with the child, sensitive crimes aspect, abuse kind of allegations, that kind of stuff, then we would take those right away. If there's something, because they might report it to a counselor, and they're going to let us know, and we're going to get the ball rolling and get that investigation started right away. Those things we take very serious. Other stuff, if something happened out in the community to that family, we have an email that we send to the school to let them know this student might be impacted, might not show up, or might be extremely tired. We also go and touch base with the counselors if we know one of our students was involved in the incident and kind of give them a brief rundown. They might need to talk to you, or you might need to pull them and talk with them, touch base, kind of be that outlet for them because they're going through a stressful situation. School staff, we have good relationships with most school staff. And you have certain teachers you go hang out with, bop in. They don't mind if you come in, sit and listen to why they're teaching, or a kid might be struggling, so then you sit one-on-one with them and kind of do homework with them. And the kids like that. They like that you want to help them, or hey, can you help me with this math problem? Actually, I can't. I'm really bad at math, but I can find someone that can help you.
Yeah.
Right? I have things that I can do with science. I love science, but yeah, math is not my forte.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I'm not helping any kids with math.
Can you help me with my calculus? No, but I can point you to a direction.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. Or I need a refresher on how to do this math.
We're
I'm
both
I
going
don't
to
know,
struggle
buddy.
through this.
Yeah.
And then, so if students are reporting situations at home, is that so reporting it to you then, is that then you bring it up the ladder to the rest of the police department and then it gets taken care of there? Or are you involved in that the whole way through?
So it depends on the immediacy of it. So is it an immediate threat to them, they can't go home and they we need to handle this right away? Then yep, we're going to be contacting our supervisor, detectives to investigate. We're going to start it right now, that investigation. Versus if they make a report and it's something it might not even be anything. They might think this is this big thing, and to them it's a big thing, right? That they're reporting it, but we're yep, that's normal. like this is what most kids like experience, that kind of stuff. And we touch base with kids all the time to talk about like, this is a normal like family life. If it's something outside of that, you can either come ask us if this is normal or not, or what, like talk to your friends and report it. But yeah, we would handle investigations right away, and then we can either follow it all the way through, or we would hand it off to a detective.
Yeah, and we're very fortunate. So each high school, and there's actually the other schools are divvied up as well, but high schools tend to have the most interaction. We have a sensitive crimes division within our detective bureau. So each of our schools are essentially assigned a sensitive crimes detective that we know that we can reach out to when it is like, hey, this is something that needs immediate attention. This isn't something that I'm going to do the report, forward it up, and have them look at it tomorrow or the next day. This is something that we need to deal with like right now. And they're like absolutely fantastic at their jobs, because that's what they do, is deal with sensitive crimes and you know, things with juveniles and things like that. So they'll drop whatever they're doing, say, yep, all right, I'm coming over right now. Let's, you know, set up like a, you know, forensic interview with a kid if they need to do that, or all right, let's go arrest, you know, whoever it might be, if it rises to that level, mom, dad, grandpa, uncle, whatever it might be. As you work through that investigation, they're fantastic to, you know, take on the bulk of that workload. We're kind of just that first step off point to kind of get the ball rolling and assist as we need to. And, you know, we've driven the kids to some of these interviews if they need to, because obviously a parent can't take them if that's the one that might be, you know, the suspect in the investigation. So we're there for them, taking them out for lunch afterwards. And if they want to come back to school, or bring them back if they're in the right headspace. Sometimes they're not. We'll reach out to another family member, kind of facilitate another place that they might go if they can't go home, depending on what the circumstances are. But yeah, those sensitive crimes detectives are, you know, a huge advantage for us, and a resource that we certainly take advantage of all the time. Yeah.
And in those instances, I mean, there's plenty of families where they've got kids in multiple schools. I mean, is there a good, easy way to collaborate between schools then, of like, hey, we might need kid in elementary school to be informed of what's going on a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great point, because if there's, you know, one victim, depending on what, you know, the specifics of the investigation, that detective obviously is going to want to talk to the siblings as well. So we got a really good rapport with, you know, pretty much all of the schools, at least that I've ever dealt with. I've never had any issues. They understand, you know, our role. And I think we've, you know, done a good job over the years of kind of really doing a good job with the school resource officer side of things, and the program in general, where we have that trust of them, and they have that trust of us, where we kind of facilitate that and make that work as needed.
And when these kind of incidents happen, is there a process to talk to different, you know, classrooms or anything like that, of like, hey, this is something you may have heard is going on, and kind of coordinate?
So
like,
we would keep all that sensitive.
Yeah.
So student privacy is pretty big. And I tell kids, they'd be like, well, why was blah, blah in here? And I'm like, I don't share your secrets. I'm not going to share their secret. If they want to tell you, they can. And that's part of the relationship we build with the kids. Like, they can talk to us. There's certain things that obviously we need to share with like administrators or counselors, but they fall under that same criteria. They're not going to share anything with anyone else, but they're like, they have to know what's going on in like this family, and why they might not be showing up to school.
So it's not a truancy thing.
Yeah.
There's a situation.
Yep.
going
And we
on,
would
but-
adjust their attendance accordingly for that.
So what are the most common questions or concerns that students bring to you? I mean, fun or otherwise?
A lot of friend drama. A lot of kids want to spill the tea.
Lots of tea.
Yeah, a lot of tea spilling. Like, want to tell us the new drama that's going on or who they're dating. Maybe not like initially when you first come in, but pretty close. Like, kids want to like be your friend, get to know you. They ask us personal questions. And like, we're open with them. Like I said, you got to keep it real with the kids. Like, this is what I did as a kid. Like, I messed up in life. That's not going to like prevent you from doing future stuff.
Yeah, and for concern side of things, it's kind of dependent upon somebody gets in trouble, then their head starts spinning, whether it's in the community, at home, or at school. Then they might have more questions based on, like, they'll ask, hey, why is this person not here? Obviously, we can't tell them, but they've heard the rumors. So I'm like, hey, what did you hear? And then they tell me, and usually it's not accurate, right? Because, you know, it's the telephone game of by the time it gets to them, it's not what it actually was. But kind of using those situations either happen at school or at home in the rumor mill to kind of, you know, again, it's part of that education side of, well, that isn't what happened, but if that were to happen, this is the reason why, and these are the potential outcomes. A lot of hypothetical type conversations that you use when they do bring up certain concerns, or maybe it's something that happened in the news. Whether it's, a viral video, either involving law enforcement or not. A lot of the TikTok trends that are really dumb that tend to get them in trouble. They'll have questions about those because they're kind of putting out feelers of whether or not they should try that. So really whatever, hot topics are that are in the news or happening at school or in the community, those are the ones that tend to get brought up, and we just try to, educate if we can, but usually it's more often than not just drama and tea and things like that that they're sharing.
But sometimes the kids bring up like really good safety concerns.
Yeah.
Like they see something, which is great. Like we need everyone to help make school safe. So students sometimes are like, well, I saw this. And I'm like, you did? Where? Tell me. Or they might have experienced something on the way into school. Like, I saw this over at the park. Do you think that's safe, Officer Michelle? I'm like, it's not. I'm actually going to go check it out. Thank you for letting me know. So I think for a lot of kids, they just have questions like, right? Like, how do you keep me safe? Is this normal? And then, school drama. Hey, did you hear this? I'm like, I didn't, but sure. What is it?
Do you find any gender biases of like, do you see more female students because you're a female officer, or male students because you're a male officer? Or do you think that it's kind of pretty neutral?
I think it's pretty neutral.
I tend to see more of actually the female students just because I think they're more likely to spill the tea and talk. They like to chat a little bit more than the boys, who are a little more like reserved. Maybe in middle school, they're not quite to that level yet, but boys want to be a little more, generally speaking, right? A little more to themselves, or put on the macho or the front or whatever, even though I still get those boys in our office and you're still chatting and asking for protein bars and all that stuff as well. But like in terms of the spilling of the tea, I think it's certainly more the female students that like to keep me up to date with everything that's going on.
I can imagine that's a lot of fun because they're talking about these concerns and issues they have, and think about it as an adult. It's like, wow, you really are a child, because this will mean nothing in 3 in a year.
That's a thing too. You tell them all the time, like, hey, middle school is hard for everyone. It was hard for me. It's hard for blah, blah, blah. When you get to high school, it's better. It's better. And when you get to college, it's even better.
Yeah.
And for me, I get that. Like, kids will go to high school. I'll see them at like football games, basketball games. They run up, it is better, Officer Michelle. I love it exactly what you said it was going to be. I'm like, I told you. I said, when you get to college, you're going to love it even more. You're going to have more freedom. You can be whoever you want to be. You don't have to feel like you're stuck being this person. And I think that's part of that's growing up too, like kids accepting like, I am who I am and loving who they are as a person. And we do a lot of like talks with that with kids. Like, you have to love you before you can love anyone else. And it's okay to be different, or you feel you're different. You're not really different. Everyone feels this way, and that's okay.
Yeah. What is the biggest misconception students or parents have about SROs?
So I think that one for me, I hear, is when we give a student a citation for something. In the middle school, give citations. Rarely do I have to take a child into custody for anything. Like, and it's usually for fights. Like, we don't allow fighting at all in the schools because everyone has to feel safe. And then a parent is upset and they're like, this is a pipeline from like school to the prison. I'm like, this is not a pipeline. My whole job is to dissuade people from committing crimes or doing naughty things, to inform you this isn't okay, this is your expected behavior, that kind of stuff. And a lot of times when people are like angry in the moment, it's that in the moment. And then later, most kids actually come back from things like really quick. They might like be upset in the moment, yell, blah, blah, blah. I see them the next day or the day after, come up, say hi, apologize for their behavior. And kids tend to move on like pretty quick with stuff, where like parents might hold grudges about stuff. And I always say, like, I treat everyone the same here. I have to. I can't not give you a ticket and give you a ticket. That wouldn't be fair. So I try to treat all my students fair. I explain that right away. And in the past, I gave a citation for this. Your student did the same thing. And I explained if they did it, I would give them a citation. I'm following through on my end. The judge will make a determination of what happens when they go to court. So I think once they hear that, and they hear it multiple times, like almost like a broken record, I tell these parents and like say to students when they come in, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. We can't have kids fighting at all. This is not elementary school. I said, when you get to high school, if it escalates, you could leave in a squad car and be released to your parents from our municipal lockup. We don't want that. Like in the end, it's like we're trying to like make sure everyone maintains like a certain sense of behavior. Like, you can't act like this anymore. You guys are all maturing.
Yeah, you're building up that idea of like, yeah, if you did this out in public as an adult, you're going to be in the back of a squad car almost guaranteed.
100%. Yeah, the number of times that I've used that line, us being in the schools, that they allow us much more discretion to kind of like Michelle was pointing out, to completely avoid that perception of, that pipeline of, oh, you're just in there to arrest kids or whatever. Like it couldn't be further from the truth. The number of times that, especially at the high school level, where I've had to say like, hey, just so you know, if you were in a car and you got caught with this, you would be arrested right now in handcuffs and you'd be going to the police department. And depending on their age, either a parent would have to pick you up, or if you're, 17, then you would be cut loose and you're going to have to figure out a ride home. So yeah, the discretion that we have, they allow us to, again, hopefully at all costs, avoid having to go down that path. And many, many, many times, the vast majority of the times we do. From the high school level, the only time that, I've fortunately have had to actually like place handcuffs on kids, but juveniles, is because they get into a physical fight. That's number one. Again, safety is the number one priority. That's zero tolerance. You get into a physical fist fight and you guys are brawling in the lunchroom or in the hallway. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to get arrested, and your parents going to have to pick you up at the police department. We just cannot tolerate, any sort of physical violence at the school level. That's one where it kind of is what it is. But like pretty much everything else, they allow us a lot of discretion to avoid having to have that type of, negative interaction. Because again, our whole goal is to avoid that being in the schools, and generally we can.
And make it a learning opportunity and, not to be like the kids will be kids kind of thing, but, you got to learn.
We hear that all the time.
You say you have to learn.
When I was in
point.
high school, this was okay. I'm like, did you feel safe? No. I'm like, well, that's the whole point. We want kids to feel safe. We can't allow these behaviors to happen. Kids feel unsafe.
Yeah. Have you faced any challenges in the adaptation to the school environment compared to your patrol duties when you were first starting, or do you have any apprehension of going from school duties back to patrol once your 4 years are up?
So I think in terms of adapting to the school from patrol, it was just that initial kind of getting used to the school community and what kind of some of the standard expectations are. Again, back to that discretion side of things. There was many times where I'm like, at first, I'm like, oh, we'd be arresting somebody for this. But again, kind of getting that change in mindset of like, no, that's not, again, the goal. That isn't the purpose of you here. It's to educate them. And are there still going to be consequences? Absolutely. But they're going to be different than if you were, outside of the school building or outside of the school property. And that was a very quick adjustment. It didn't take really long at all. It was just kind of getting to know what the standard expectation were for certain behaviors. I don't know if you
or
agree
your
with that.
first big call. When you're brand new, you're like, call like another SRO that's been on for a long time. You're calling your boss. You're like, hey, this is how I want to handle it. Is that okay? And they're like, yep, we trust that you're going to make the right decision. What you're saying is absolutely okay. So it's learning to be like, you're now the one who's making those decisions all the time. Like, I don't have to go to my boss all the time to get authorization to do certain things. That's the whole point. Like, when you're in that school resource officer, it's like you're supervising, you're in charge of that school. So they've chosen us for this position because they trust us to make good decisions in that position. And from our work products that we've displayed throughout our career, they know that we have sound mind, our judgment is sound, and that the decision we make is the right decision. So that's nice.
So when you're trying to balance out what's the proper response to it, do you ever have to work with administration saying like, hey, do we need to issue a citation, or are you going to issue detentions? Well, which do you think would work best for the students in this situation? Or is it more of an on the scene, like you're issuing something?
So I think that depends on the school. So like in the middle school, like I said, in a middle school, most of my citations are only for fights. And I'm like, if kids are trying to harm each other, they're going to get a citation. Like, that's not okay behavior. Otherwise, like maybe like a vape or something like that. But like in the high school, he deals with more stuff where a lot more litany of different crimes that might have been committed, where he has to make those decisions. And then with administrators, but my administrators, like, I don't usually have to go to them for anything, but they also might be like, nope, he's been warned a million times. He destroyed a whole classroom, which I might not give a citation for, but they're like, nope, he's had multiple chances. We want a citation in addition to his school.
So it's more coming from the school requesting an
Yes.
issuance of something then.
Which is probably not very often that happens.
That doesn't happen too often. Usually, again, we have such a good relationship and understanding on both sides, both what the school expectations are and the law enforcement expectations are, where a lot of the times it's just a quick debrief of like, hey, this is what happened. This is we're all in agreement. We all understand this is what's going to happen. Okay, cool. Let's go down that path. It is very rare that there is a circumstance where they might request a citation for like disorderly conduct or something that doesn't happen very often. That's an extreme where it's like a repeated behavior, continue of escalation of school consequences, where clearly that's still not getting through. Like this kid just destroyed, the student just destroyed an entire classroom and got so out of hand that the disruption was way above and beyond a standard thing. That might be a time where that discussion, and there still might not be a citation issued, but that might be a time where a discussion would come up of like, hey, do we need to explore this to show that, there are further consequences? You can't have that type of behavior because you're, affecting the safety of the other students within the building and stuff.
But
like
at that point, there's been discussions from administration. You've chatted with
that's why it's so rare.
And,
it doesn't happen very often.
Usually they can be, I don't know, de-escalated is the right word, but they can be, talked with as a human and just saying, hey, this is what we're seeing. Can we help you with it?
Yeah, it's pretty rare that something like that happens.
Yeah.
So what kind of training specifically do the SROs go through to especially work with youth?
Yeah, so it's that initial, the week-long SRO school or training through the NA SRO. We're all trained in a week-long training of crisis intervention training, which certainly comes into handy because, again, when the students are dysregulated or going through what they would perceive as a crisis, even though we look at it and be like, okay, well, you're upset because your girlfriend broke up with you. But to them, that's the biggest thing in the world in that moment. So to them, it's absolutely a crisis, right?
Yeah.
So there's, we've all been trained at the police department or week-long training of crisis intervention training. And then each summer, the state puts on a school resource officer conference. It's usually in like Appleton or Green Bay type area. And then they have like several days of different breakout sessions of whether it's, behavioral threat assessment,
drug trends,
social media trends, anything that, it's pretty much an all-encompassing conference where there's a bunch of different breakout sessions that we get to take advantage of and kind of see some of the trends that are going on. Active shooter training, we're doing that regularly as a police department. Might not involve the school, it might. We've done them at for sure all of the middle schools and all of the high schools. Our SWAT team has gone there and done training at those schools. Our entire police department is trained regularly on active shooter type responses and things like that. So it's pretty ongoing. There's it's annually that we do additional training kind of above and beyond what the standard patrol officer might get to experience.
So what advice would you give to other officers thinking about becoming SROs or to students who are unsure about engaging with one?
For other officers, we tell them, like, stop at our school. You can walk around with me. You'll see how the interactions are. And that's going to let you know if you want to do it. You're either going to love the interactions, the kids coming up, talking to you all the time, or you're not. I think that's one of those things you'll know right away if you're going to like this or not. Most people, like, even when Brandon said, like, early in his career, wasn't sure he wanted to do this. And then as you get on, you talk to, like, other SROs who have done it, and they love it. No SROs ever said, I hate this job. They love it. If they would stay, if they could. If I could stay, finish my career doing this, I absolutely would love it. Yeah. For students, just come up and talk to us. We're real people. Like, we have kids. Most of us have kids. We grew up. We knew, kind of understand the struggles you're going through. And we'll give you honest answers. If you ask a question, if I have the answer, I'll give it to you, even if you don't want to hear it. It might be a hard answer.
Yeah, we should be lying to the other officers and telling them how terrible it is, so they stop applying for it. We could stay longer, but
it's just whenever your 4 years is up. It's like, actually, this year you shouldn't apply.
But it's too late for that. And then as far as the students, again, that's one of the, again, besides safety, it's in that position, all of us have been chosen because I think both the school district and our police department kind of recognize some of our strengths. And one of those strengths are being able to kind of build relationships, being able to communicate, because you can't build relationships unless you can, communicate with people, kind of breaking down those barriers. The number of times that we've had students that it's very clearly probably have had negative interaction with law enforcement because they're very, very standoffish. It's not my goal to break that barrier down. I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can to, kind of break through to you. And I think we've been pretty successful overall with doing that.
Okay. All right. So now we've got some rapid fire questions. These are a lot more fun. And they are more school related. So You can answer these in one of two ways. If you want to answer it more about when you were in school, or maybe it is with how the schools are now and things you're seeing there. So first one being, what is your favorite school lunch?
Probably burrito tacos.
Ooh.
Burrito tacos?
It's especially, they do specialty things every like twice a month, 2 or 3 times a month.
Schools.
I always try their specialty food they make. It's so good.
Schools have escalated
They have-
greatly.
yeah.
So I usually pack my own lunch. I've always been that way.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty lame when it comes to that.
Yeah,
But in high school, it was when I was in high school, it was like nacho cheese, but then they would have like the taco meat on top of that. I could eat that every day. That was my go-to.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that's good. I'm still hung up about the burrito tacos. Yeah, we had.
I was hoping cardboard pizza.
Yeah, we had
you know.
cardboard pizzas.
They still have that stuff.
Yeah.
Pizzas are better
You
though.
say pizza with peaches and maybe a thing of milk and vegetable medley that was usually green beans, carrots, and lima beans.
Yeah, I was lucky in my high school. I think it was just my freshman year. I went to Waukesha South, and they had the Pizza Hut would like deliver pizza to the pizza, and people could buy it by the slice. And then there was the whole Michelle Obama school lunch thing, and
that
that
ended.
was cut out, and it was a little sad. All right, favorite subject in school?
Oh, science and art. So I love it. Still to this day, I'll pop in those classes all day long.
Is there specific science you
Biology.
Biology.
Yeah,
A
I love
specific-
animals.
What about a specific art?
I love all art.
Okay.
Anything, get hands on, do it, love it. Love going down, love talking to the kids about their projects. Amazed by some of the talent that these kids have.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was history. I always enjoyed history, liked history classes in college, high school. It's just it's
Specific
always
niche of history, or
my favorite course that I took in college was the history of ancient Rome. That was a really cool one. And then being able to be fortunate enough to go there a few years after, well, not a few years, probably like 10 years after graduating college. But I got there eventually. Being able to go to Rome and kind of see all that stuff was really cool.
very cool.
Yeah. Did you ever get detention?
No.
I don't know if I got a detention. I did get in trouble once in high school. It was like my senior year, and we didn't have open campus to leave for lunch. So it was like right at the end of the year. So we were all kind of had senioritis. So we thought we could sneak away and get like Starbucks or something. We totally got caught coming back, and I'm sure I got yelled at or detention or something. But that was the most trouble I ever got in high school, thankfully.
Michelle, did you ever get in trouble at all in school, or were you?
Sure, I got in trouble, but never detention. I mean, I was the baby. My dad was pretty good about like, I would just write myself a pass and he would sign it for whatever I said.
Oh, sure.
So then I would always get excused.
Any sports or extracurricular activities that you enjoy more, most?
Now, in school, I played everything I could play. I played tennis, did cross country, even though I don't like running, basketball, softball, did track and field. So kind of did it all.
Yeah.
I love sports. And now do basketball. I coach basketball. Hopefully trying to step back because when I go to patrol, I won't have time to coach anymore.
Sure.
And then my daughter's now in volleyball, so I'm sure I'm become a volleyball mom. Yeah.
For me, it was mostly just football. That was the main sport that I played in high school.
Nice. Most common excuse you hear from students?
When you ask if they did it, they said that's what the teacher said. So not really owning it.
Don't love that answer, but
I don't feel like that's an answer.
no.
If that's what they said, okay.
I think for me, it's whenever they're in trouble, it's, well, so-and-so was doing it, or how come they didn't get in trouble, or how come I'm getting in trouble? They always do it. It's kind of pointing the fingers of, what about them?
Yeah. Lack of accountability, it
Yeah.
sounds like, from both.
Yeah.
One trend at the school you work at that you just don't understand?
Ooh, I got maybe a couple of them. It's mostly clothing related. I get made fun of for having ankle socks. Like, they think it's appalling that I have ankle socks.
Are they too high or too low?
To like no-show ankle
Oh, okay.
socks. The new trend is we're back to calf length white socks
Yeah.
with
Everything.
everything, whether
Everything.
you're wearing
Dresses,
slides
everything.
or you're wearing, what are those other kind of tannish type shoes called? You slide them in.
Oh, the Birkenstocks.
The Birkenstock type ones,
Yeah.
tennis shoes, it doesn't matter. If you show your ankles, it's weird. So like the number of times that the kids have been just aghast when I like fold my, have my leg on my knee in my office and they could see my ankles. They're appalled by that. So I really don't understand
Wow.
that. Because when I was in high school, it's the other way around. You didn't want to have the old man socks
Yeah.
on with the white socks that were up to your calves. But that's an odd one that has worked its way in.
Huh.
I don't know. If the kids do the trends, if it's not ridiculous, I'll do it with them.
Sure. Did they have you do TikTok videos and stuff like that with
dances.
them?
As long as it's not inappropriate,
Sure.
I'll do it.
Yeah. That's
The
always
kids
the
love
truth.
it. They're like, "You're horrible." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But I tried it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll go viral if it works, if people like it.
And then the favorite part of the school day.
I like lunch. I like going in, sitting down, talking with the kids. You're kind of like relaxed, that kind of stuff. I also like the end of the day when they leave, depending if it was a tough day.
Usually by lunch, you're like, okay, everything's going okay. End of the day, it's like, I'm done with everyone. You're peopled out.
Some days it's like that, but mostly lunch. I really like lunch, talking with the kids.
Do you have lunch with the kids then, or do you have lunch separately?
So in the middle school, our lunches, it would be like 8th, 7th, and 6th. It used to be 6th, 7th, and 8th, but our 8th graders were out of control. So now we feed them right away. We've realized as soon as you
get
feed
hangry.
those big kids, they are calm the rest of the day.
They're like reverse gremlins. You got to feed them early.
So our 6th graders are like voracious by the time they finally get to lunch, which is fine because then they focus, they eat right away, and then they're like still little kids. They want to play. So no, but I like lunch. I like going around bopping with the kids, asking what they're doing. They want to show me if they're reading a book or doing a new project.
I guess for me, maybe the beginning of the day, I suppose, just kind of seeing everybody. Some of them are very still groggy, and they're usually like happy. You're like, "Hey, good morning." And it's like, I get a kick out of that. That's kind of funny. Or even probably my more favorite part of the beginning of the day is when our group of special needs students come to the atrium to get to their portion. They're always happy. Just seeing their big smiles and like good morning to them is always puts a smile on your face for sure. So beginning of the day for me.
Great.
All right. And that's the rapid fire questions. Weren't really rapid fire,
No,
but
you can say they can only be
they're
so
more the
rapid fire.
fun questions.
Is there anything else you want to share about your experience before we wrap up?
I mean, they already chose our replacement, so I can't put a plug into our supervisor to keep us longer. We're kind of past that, I suppose.
So you're definitely past that.
Yeah.
Is this your guys' last year?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, we're actually done end of December.
Yeah.
And we
Okay.
go both back to patrol.
All right. So it's not even academic years you're there. You're there for
It
calendar
used to be
years.
academic year, but we changed it to calendar year, so it's
Okay.
easier for scheduling.
So do you have your replacements you get to train a little bit this year, kind of shadow along with for a little while? And
Yeah, we told them they're both day shift officers to stop in as much as they can when they're working, so they can meet staff, students, administrators, kind of the kids then recognize that face. So when we part ways, it won't be as hard.
so I imagine
for
you're
them.
going to have a lot more one-on-one sessions with people who are like, I can't believe you're leaving. You know?
That's already happening.
Yeah, a lot of tears. A lot of tears.
For sure.
You build those close relationships that, your staff is very sad when you
So
leave.
you're going to try and make your way to stop in every now and then, and
Oh, coffee hour. I told them all the time, I'll stop for coffee. Coffee hour in the morning.
the middle schools have coffee hour.
Yeah. A lot of coffee is
Wow.
drunk at middle schools.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm shocked about that or not.
Well,
but-
not with middle schoolers, with our staff. But
Oh,
still.
okay.
Yeah. I think you were
with
thinking the
students,
kids.
yeah.
No, kids are not drinking coffee.
I'm like, wow.
Wow, schools have really changed.
No, those kids,
Lots of Starbucks rolling through the doors.
Yeah,
in
really.
the,
High
in the
school
students'
makes
hands
a
in
lot
high
more sense,
school.
yeah.
a lot of Alani and Bubbler for me,
Okay.
Sure.
which has like 200 milligrams of caffeine.
It is crazy. Yeah, I think even
I'm
like
like-
Celsius now is like you could drink 2 of those, and that's close to your maximum of caffeine in a day.
I tell the kids, I'm like, you don't need another drink. Stop.
You're young. You have enough energy.
Yeah, I remember it was Monster a lot for high school.
Yeah,
and
that was
growing
Monster
up.
was a big thing in back in my day.
Still terrible. I don't understand it. I'm not that old, but I still don't get it. It's not good. All right. Well, thank you both for joining us on Talkin Waukesha.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for another episode of Talkin Waukesha. We hope you enjoyed diving into the heart of our city with us.
If you have a story to share or just want to say hello, reach out to us on social media at City of Waukesha on Facebook. We love hearing from our listeners.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review if you enjoyed the conversation. It really helps us spread the word.
As always, thanks for tuning in to Talkin Waukesha, where every conversation springs to life.